After testing out my new formula and hearing your guys' feedback, I've come to the conclusion that the value of their typing score is too dependent. Pokemon that possess the typing of Dragon or Psychic were worlds apart from those who were Fairy and Steel. And plus the typing score chart overall is tumultuous. So here we go, readjusting the type calculations. Now before I get into the readjustment, I feel like I should explain how the prior typing score chart came to be. The prior typing score was done using a formula that looked like this. And what it means is, well, I'll just let my older self do that part. So basically a type combination will gain 2 points for each type it is super effective against, and a bonus 1 point if both of its affiliated types are super effective against the same type. It will lose 2 points for each weaknesses, an additional loss of 3 points if it has a double weakness. It will gain half a point for each resistance, another half point for every double resistance, lose 2 points if both types are resisted by the same type, gain 2 for each immunity, and lose 2 for each liability, which are types that are immune against it. So now that you heard that, I feel that for me to change the value of the type chart, I would need to change the values of the formula so that the reasoning behind the score makes numerical sense. So here are the changes I will be making to the formula. First off, the part which had the most criticism was the bonus value added for a type being super effective against the same type. In this new formula, the value of having both types super effective is 0. The next change is liabilities. A dual type will count as a liability if one of its stab moves is unable to affect a certain type, regardless if the other stab move is super effective. The premise of how liabilities works won't change, as I feel a Pokemon's typing should be punished for having these blemishes, but instead I'll decrease the value from losing 2 points to losing 1 point, so that a type whose other stab is super effective will have a net positive. And obviously, to balance things out, immunities will also decrease from awarding 2 points to awarding 1 point. This change should allow for the gap between typings with immunities and liabilities to decrease and making the scoring more fair. The final change is being resisted. A dual type Pokemon loses 2 points if and only if both of that dual type stab moves are resisted by the same type. I will change the decrease of being resisted from a 2 point loss to a 1 point loss. I have 2 reasons behind this. First is that since points aren't being awarded anymore for being double super effective, I feel that the punishment for having the opposite effect should also be lowered. The second reason is that I feel that a typing being completely resisted should be worth the same as a typing where one type is neutral and the other is a liability, as they have the same average damage per stab move. A typing where one type is a liability and the other is resisted also gets a -1, as that's just how it computes in the formula. So with that being said, the new formula looks like this. And just to clarify, a double weakness is receiving a total loss of 5 points, 2 for the initial weakness and another 3 for the double weakness. Same rule applies to how double resistances are calculated, just in case you were confused about that part. Now with this new formula and computing all the values, the type score changed from looking like this to this. The new best type has changed from Ground Steel with a score of 13.5 to a two-way tie between Steel Fairy and Steel Flying with a score of 13. The worst type is still Bug Grass, but its score has changed from -10.5 to -6.5. This also means the score discrepancy between the strongest and weakest combination has changed from a score of 24 to 19.5. These are the two type scores side by side if you were wondering how it looked and wanted to see the numbers for yourself. Hopefully this chart is more acceptable than the last one. Now that pretty much covers up the whole readjustment of the typing scores. If you just wanted to see the new formula and new scores, then that's about it. The rest of the video will be going through the 3 best worst combination for each type compared to the old chart to give a better visual depiction of how each typing have changed. Starting off with the normal type, the best type combination for normal in the old system was normal and ghost with a final score of 5, followed by fighting, then a tie between fairy and ground. In the new system, the best normal combination remains normal and ghost, the rest stays the same. The worst combination for normal was normal and dragon, and it still remains normal and dragon. The best fire type combination in the old system was fire and ground, followed by fairy, then fighting. In the new system, the best fire type combination remains fire and ground, followed by a two-way tie between fairy and water. The worst combination for fire was fire and normal, now it's a tie between normal and rock. The best water type combination was a two-way tie between steel and fairy, followed by flying and ground. In the new system, there's a 3-way tie for first, which includes steel, fairy, and fire. The worst combination for water was water and psychic, now it's a 3-way tie with normal, psychic, and grass. The best electric type in the old system was electric and fairy, followed by fighting and flying. In the new system, the best combination is now tied between fairy and fighting, followed by flying. The worst electric type combination was a tie between dragon and grass, now it's a 3-way tie between dragon, grass, and normal. The best grass type combination used to be grass and steel, followed by fire and rock. Now the new best is fire, followed by steel, then rock. The worst grass type combination was grass and bug, and it will still remain grass and bug. The best ice type combination in the old system was ice and ground, followed by a tie between ghost and fighting. In the new system, the best type is still ice and ground, followed by fighting, then a 3-way tie between ghost, steel, and water, with the worst ice type combination in the old system being grass. and it still remains grass in the new system. The best fighting type was steel, fire, then flying. Now it is steel with a 3-way tie between electric, fire, and flying. The worst fighting type was grass, and it will still remain grass. The best poison type was a 2-way tie between steel and dark, with ground coming in third. Now the best type is dark and ground, followed by steel. The worst poison type combination was a tie between normal and dragon. Now it's just normal. The best ground type combination was steel, followed by fire and flying. With the new system, the best ground type is a 3-way tie between steel, flying, and fire. The worst ground type used to be a tie between grass and psychic. Now it's a tie between psychic and rock. The best flying type used to be steel, ground, then water. In the new system, it is steel, ground, then a tie between fighting and water. The worst flying type was dragon, and it still remains dragon. The best psychic type used to be steel, followed by fire and fighting. Now it is a tie between steel and fighting, followed by fire. The worst psychic combination was dragon. Now it's a 2-way tie between grass and dragon. The best bug type used to be a tie between steel and ground, followed by water. Now the best new bug type combination is steel, followed by ground, then water. And obviously the worst bug type combination is grass. The best rock type combination used to be 2-way tie between steel and flying, followed by fairy. In the new system, the best rock type is bug, followed by grass, then fairy. With the worst rock type combination being normal in the old system, and normal in the new system. The best ghost type combination used to be a 2-way tie between steel and fairy, then a 3-way tie between ground, fire, and fighting. The best new ghost type combination is still a 2-way tie between steel and fairy, followed by fighting. The worst ghost type combination was a tie between dragon and psychic, and still remains a tie between dragon and psychic. In the old system, the best dragon type was steel, followed by fire, then water. In the new system, it remains the same. In the old system, the worst dragon type was psychic. Now it's a tie between normal and psychic. The best dark type combination used to be a tie between steel and fairy, followed by fire. Now the best combination is a tie between fire and poison, followed by steel and fairy. The worst dark type combination was dark and dragon, and it still remains dark and dragon. The best steel type combination used to be ground, followed by a 2-way tie between flying and fairy. Now it's a 2-way tie between fairy and flying, followed by ground. The worst steel combination is with normal, and will still remain normal. The best fairy type combination used to be steel, followed by ground, then a 2-way tie between ghost and water. Now the best fairy combination is steel, followed by ground, then a 2-way tie between fire and water. The worst fairy type combination is with grass, and will still remain grass. Hopefully these graphics helped understand the changes or something, I don't know. Anyways, these were the top 10 types in the old system. This is the new top 10. Likewise, this was the 10 worst types, now it's this. The biggest change came with steel, as previously with his 17 possible combinations, steel used to have the highest score 13 times. In the new ranking, it's only the best 9 times, and its average dual type score has decreased from 8.56 to 8.26. The grass, psychic, and dragon type still, however, stays near the bottom, but their average score has increased from negative 1.41, negative 0.97, negative 1.59 to negative 0.17, 0.38, and negative 0.29, respectively. The average type score amongst all dual types have increased from 3.2 to 3.4, meaning the benefits bad types receive from this change outweighs the negatives for the good types. Yeah, that's my readjustment of the type calculations. Just know it was only for the dual types and not the monotypes, since they use different formulas. I plan to implement these scores in my video soon, and yeah, that's about it.